for joining. Thank you so much for joining today. You are in our first Ohio Transfer Council webinar for this season, and welcome to Professional Development 101. I am very happy that you're here to join us today. Hopefully we have some people that are newer to this area, and there's going to be a lot of valuable information. Just as a reminder, we are going to be recording our session today. So to let you know that we're recording, and then also to let you know that we'll have this recording and available on our website for you. So if you'd like to revisit the information or share it with others, it will be on our OTC website. We're going to go ahead and kick off with some introductions for the Ohio Transfer Council Events and Professional Development Committee. My name is Amanda Means. I currently serve as the Director of Enrollment Management at Shawnee State University and the chair for our Ohio Transfer Council Events and Professional Development Committee. Next, we'll have Ann introduce herself.
Hi, everybody. My name is Ann Shelton. I'm the Associate Director for Transfer, Articulation, and Prior Learning at Miami University. And like Amanda mentioned, I'm also one of the co-chairs for the committee. Happy to see everyone.
Hi, my name is Jessica Toro. I am an admissions counselor here in our transfer office at the University of Akron. And I'm a committee member here for the Professional Development Committee. So I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, Ann and Jessica. We'll go ahead and move right into our agenda. I can see there that my slide got a little messy there at the top, so I apologize. We're planning to share some information about why it's important to participate in professional development. We're going to review some of the different professional organizations that are available to people that work with students in higher ed, with transfer, recruitment, and a lot of different opportunities. We're going to explore some alternative professional development opportunities, and then talk a little bit about how it's an important conversation to have with a supervisor or during the budgeting process to make sure that these professional development opportunities are available to you while you're working in the field. We're going to kick off with Jessica telling us a little bit about why professional development is important.
Yes, so it's professional. It's great for new professionals or experienced professionals. For new professionals, you get to network and meet with experienced professionals in your field who are interested and are passionate about the same things as you are. So you can learn from their skills, their experience, and feel some ideas that you can gain from them that can then contribute to your workplace. For experienced professionals, you can continue to learn and grow. You can reskill, as well as share your passion and knowledge for people that are newer professionals looking to learn from you. So you also gain some of that mentoring experience as well. Our professional development can also have a positive impact on our student outcomes. So we can put our knowledge and skills to work to benefit our students as well. And we can also learn best practices that can work across institutions as we're doing today. And you can also stay connected with people who are equally dedicated to the topics that we care about.
Thank you so much, Jessica. Next, we're planning to explore a couple of different professional organizations that are available at the state and national level. We are hoping to share some information throughout here. If you don't mind to keep yourself muted at the very end, though, we are hoping to open it up to some conversation and discussion. I know already working with Ann and Jessica and exploring these professional organizations, I've already learned about new opportunities and new resources for me. So I'm hoping it's valuable for you guys that are participating, but there's a wealth of knowledge in this room with us today, in addition to what Ann and Jessica and I have put together. So we're hoping that you might have some more tips and tricks and things to share with us at the end, or other options, why you like this organization, what you've done in the past with other organizations. So keep that in the back of your head as we're moving through our professional organizations that we're learning about. All right, first, this one's a very important one, right? We want to make sure that when you're working in the field that you're knowledgeable about different efforts that the Ohio Department of Higher Education might be having going on. With each of our organizations that we're talking about today, we're going to talk a little bit about who they are. We're going to include the website so that you can continue to explore them offline after our webinar, and then have a brief rundown on some of the resources and benefits to either participating in the organization or checking them out online. For ODHE, it's a cabinet level agency for the governor of the state of Ohio, and they oversee higher education for the state. So I know that seems like kind of an obvious thing, but they do a lot of work for transfer. They have a lot of information on the website. You can see the website here. They also run the Articulation and Transfer Clearinghouse, or ATC. They are in charge of our Ohio Guaranteed Transfer Pathways, and they get different groups together to make sure that they're collaborating on forming those different policies and pathways. They also are in charge of our state guarantees, like our tag, military tag, and different things like that. They're always conducting and including research that is important and available to our higher education institutions. And then there are really valuable newsletters that you can sign up for the ODHE, and then also that are directly related to some of our transfer efforts.
Okay, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the Ohio Articulation and Transfer Network. This is not necessarily an organization like you can join. There's not like open membership, but they do a lot of really interesting things here in Ohio, and kind of are a very great source of information for all those of us who work in the transfer world. So first of all, it's basically a network of leaders and different champions from different universities around the state that work together to move forward transfer and articulation initiatives. The website's here. So if you haven't been on the website, I mean, I know we all kind of explore the ODHE website. This is one of the kind of subheadings on the ODHE page. But one of the things that is super helpful is there's newsletters that they send out. And those have lots of information about things that are happening here in Ohio. I mean, we've got so many initiatives here in Ohio with ITAGs, CTAGs, MTAGs, OGTP pathways, and just all those things. So these newsletters are really informative and kind of keep you posted on like what are the statuses of some of these things that are happening. And then I know some of you have probably attended these Transfer Talk Tuesdays. We just had one this week regarding ITAGs. I think it was this week or last week. Regarding ITAGs, which is something I'm really interested in because we're not doing a lot with ITAGs at my institution. So, or with anything to do with prior learning and ITAGs. So I'm really super excited to see all this work that's going into this. And so they also have something called the knowledge base, the OATN knowledge base, and it might be a little like detailed and in-depth for maybe some of the kind of student-focused transfer work we do. It might be more for administrators and leadership on your campus, but it's stuff about like accreditation, articulation, and even some of the legislation that's happening at the state level. But it's a great resource. You can kind of browse through in these very deep levels about some of the articulation work that's happening here in Ohio, but that knowledge base is out there for you to research and learn for free.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Anne. One thing too, I want to kind of put in perspective as transfer champions on campus or people interested in transfer work, we know that covers a lot of different area units on our campuses. So you might be involved really directly with transfer recruitment. You may be involved more with accreditate or with our different articulation agreements. You may be involved more with academic advising. So there's a variety of different organizations that we're sharing that can kind of touch on different areas that might be able to help you grow or learn more kind of outside maybe what your role is. I know this one is probably one that everybody's heard of, NACAC, or the National Association for College Admission Counseling, which might be particularly important for our transfer people that are working to recruit students and attend events and work with them. They're a professional organization with members from around the world dedicated to serving students. They also open their group up to K-12, independent education consultants, and of course, higher education professionals. There are institutional individual memberships available for NACAC, and unfortunately, it's one of them that's on the more pricey side. So sometimes it's a better way to participate on the institutional level than maybe purchasing an individual membership. But they have a huge bank of information, a huge slate of activities and events that go on throughout the year, in addition to just college fairs that they might be known for. They have an annual conference. They have a Guiding to Way Inclusion events, different special interest group meetings that go on throughout the year. They have a lot of regular webinars that they host where our high school counselors and our transfer champions and admission counselors can learn more. They also offer, of course, professional development just through NACAC. They have an anti-racist education institute, some certificate and trainings, e-learning, and different workshops. So if you have a lot of time to kind of dig in, NACAC provides a real wealth of information for you to learn about, especially if you're thinking of expanding a little bit and looking more at different things in admissions. All right, next we're going to speak about our Ohio ACAC or OACAC. We actually have Amber Wood with us today, who is the president-elect for OACAC, and she's going to be speaking a little bit about who they are and their benefits that they have here to members of OTC.
Great, thanks, Amanda. So again, my name is Amber Wood. I'm the Associate Director of Recruitment at Kent State University, and as she said, I'm the president-elect of OACAC. I have been with OACAC for, I think this is my 14th year in a variety of roles, some elected, some appointed, some voluntold. So you get, immersed in a club or organization, and it really becomes part of everything that you do, both personally and professionally. But I want to tell you a little bit about who we are. We are a state affiliate of NACAC. So we're not a chapter, we're an actual affiliate, which means that we abide by the NACAC bylaws, but we also have our own bylaws. Our members can be anybody who really works in the field of college admission counseling. So we have folks that are K-12, we have transfer counselors, we have admissions counselors, we have access organizations, we have some community organizations, graduate students, financial aid professionals are often in our organization. And we do have quite a few people that have retired from the profession that just want to give back, that stay active in our organization. Our goals are really to provide professional development and opportunities to engage in the college admission process, and making sure that the folks that are part of our organization are take part in professional development and are educated in the best way that we can serve our students. So you see our website is listed there. If you go to our website now, it's going to look a little bit messy. We are in a web revamp. So if you give us a couple months, it's going to look all different. But we have recently changed our membership structure. We wanted to give everybody the opportunity to become a member, whether or not your home office will pay for that or not. So we have made it $35 across the board, and it is even less expensive for graduate students. So this is a great organization. If you are a grad student and you don't have a lot of income, and you want to join and get some of those professional development opportunities, you could certainly do so. I just have a list here of our member benefits and some of the resources that we have. We do host in-person and virtual college fairs. We have actually partnered with OTC on transfer fairs, so we're excited about that, and we're hoping to do that again in the future. But we do have a robust list of college fairs in Ohio. It really is looked upon as, where am I going to travel this year? Let's check that calendar. And the calendar is one of the member benefits. We have an annual conference. Our annual conference this year is in March, and it is going to be in person. Our conference is always paired with our GWI conference. So it's usually a 3 or 4 day event so that you can attend both. Our articulation events are often seen as the kickoff to the recruiting season. We host those around the state so that everybody has one local, or at least somewhat local, that they can attend, so that they can get information about topics that are happening in higher ed, but also updates from the 2-year institutions, from the 4-year institutions, public, private, and it's a great networking tool. So you can come here, meet other people from other schools and other staffs. We do have several grant funding opportunities. So we offer grants for not only our conferences, but many of the national conferences. We also have some grant money available for special projects and things that are happening in your own institution. So if there's something that you wish you had a little bit of extra cash for, being a part of OACAC might be an opportunity for you to do that. We have several student scholarships. Our premier scholarship is our Warren Scholarship. So we raise money every year for our Warren Scholarship recipients, and we celebrate them each year at our annual conference. We have a summer institute for new admission counselors and for new school counselors so that they can come and get some of that entry-level education that they might not know, especially if they're coming in without any information in the field. So we want to make sure that we offer that. Lots of awards and recognition. We have our yearly awards, things like our Jack Scott Award, which is our most prestigious award. And that's for the person that gives back not only to OACAC, but also to the profession and higher ed in general. We have life member awards, new member awards. They are highly celebrated and highly sought after. So they are very special and near and dear to everybody on the executive board and all of our membership's hearts. We do have job postings. So if you are thinking of making a career change or a school change, definitely check out our job board. It's popular to post there. It's not very expensive. So if you have a job that you're looking to fill and you're a member, you get a discounted rate. You can put your job on there. Our membership list. So if you ever wanted to reach out to folks that are involved in college admissions counseling, you could certainly reach out to our organization, and we do have a member list that we can send information. We do lots of professional development, drive-in workshops, webinars, things in person, both in person and virtual. And then we certainly have many, many, many volunteer opportunities. I was trying to count up to tell you guys how many different things I have volunteered just in OACAC, and I got up to 16 different roles that I've had or played or done. So if you're looking for a way, maybe in your office or outside of your office, to become a leader in the community and in the profession, state recognition, and even leading into some things that are national, this would be a great way to get started. Also an idea exchange. So the more people you get to know in an organization, the more ideas you can exchange. We are serving students. There's always that competitive feeling, I need to bring in a class, you need to bring in a class, but really the spirit of our organization is idea exchange, and letting people know what you're doing, finding out what they're doing, and see how we can help each other. Last but not least is the friendships that are formed. There are folks in this organization that I've known my entire career. It took one person to encourage to get me involved, and then it has just spiraled. And now, next year I'll be the president. So I would encourage you, if you are a member of OACAC or any organization that you are, do that shoulder tapping, talk to somebody, recognize a new professional, say, hey, I think you'd be a great member of this organization, and try to get them involved.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And I just want to add too that presenting at the annual conference for OACAC was one of the first times I presented at a conference, and it was one of the TED Talks that they offered. So that was such a wonderful experience, and OACAC made it so easy for me to do that. The proposal process was not too intimidating. So that's a really great way to kind of expand your resume and your repertoire a little bit too. So Amber, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing about OACAC.
Thank you. And selfish plug, our call for proposals is going to come out in the next couple weeks. Keep an eye on that.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right. Well, we're going to move on, and Anne's going to present some information about NISTS.
Yeah. And if you work anywhere in transfer world in any university in Ohio or across the United States, you probably saw Transfer Student Week stuff happening back in October. So that is probably how you may or may not be aware of the National Institute for the Study of Transfer Students. They are the organization that kind of leads that effort every year, an annual effort to recognize and support transfer students and make them feel like they are a part of our campus community, and they're recognized and seen as a part of our community. So that's the National Institute for the Study of Transfer Students. So if you haven't heard of this organization, you're new to the transfer world of enrollment, it's definitely an organization that you should participate with. It's mostly things like conferences and other types of things. There's not necessarily membership that you have to worry about, but they have other opportunities for you to get involved and do things related to transfer. So their website's there. If you haven't visited their website, definitely go out. There's tons of resources. The big thing they do every year is their annual conference. It's actually coming up in February in St. Louis. They also have a virtual option. So if your campus like mine is not allowing travel still, virtual is an option. And these conferences I've attended in the past, and I cannot recommend them enough. There's lots of great presentations from professionals in our field and professionals who've done things, way above what I've done and accomplished yet. So it's great to be able to learn from people who've kind of blazed trails with transfer work. And it also helps, when you learn from others, you come back to your campus re-energized and able to come back and start some hopefully new initiatives that are going to impact your transfer pipeline at your university. So can't recommend that conference enough. If you get a chance to go in person, that's wonderful. Lots of networking and kind of happy hour things that happen as a part of that conference. But the virtual option that I attended last year was also great. So they also have lots of good professional development outside of the conference. So things like webinars, they're all actually posted on their website. So if you have not had a chance to attend those as they're kind of live and happening, they're actually archived on the website, and they do a good job of keeping the recordings there. So make sure you go out to the website and find those. And then the other kind of big thing they do for transfer professionals is they have a really great resource kind of database on their website with lots of transfer academic based research. And that's, I know I've personally used those resources to go to the leadership at my university and say, hey, these are things that have been proven that work and help us support and recruit transfer students to our university. And when you have that data back, that academic based research to go on, not just like, well, I think this will work. No, I've got data, I've got information that's peer reviewed that you can take and use to influence your leadership to make changes and improve things for our transfer populations. That's really valuable. And that's all out on the NISTS website as well. And one of the things, of course, that we try to do every year is do a good job celebrating National Transfer Student Week. So on the NISTS website, it was released a little bit late this year, which was kind of freaking me out and some of my colleagues, but they have a media kit that if you want to celebrate Transfer Student Week on your campus, but you maybe have some limited marketing resources, you don't have a big marketing team to help push all these things out, it's okay because NISTS actually has a marketing kit with really cool graphics and things that you can use to advertise National Transfer Student Week around your campus. So we look to them every year to kind of use some of those resources that they provide to help Miami, where I'm at, do some transfer focused stuff for Transfer Student Week. So, and they have great ideas. You get to see what other campuses are doing and maybe kind of share ideas about how you could do some recognition for your transfer students. So if you have not interacted with NISTS, highly recommend it. They are a great organization and do a lot of great transfer support for professionals in this field.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Anne.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to move on to the Ohio Association of Collegiate Registrars and Admission Officers. And I know now we're kind of touching on the registrar space for transfer a little bit with this organization. For OACRO, they provide professional development regarding best practices and standards and guidelines in records management, admissions, enrollment management, administrative information technology, and then of course, student services to higher education officials in Ohio. The website is also listed here on the slide. Most of those are based on institutional membership. So if you're curious about membership for that, you definitely want to speak with your registrar or representative of that office to see if you can be added on with the institutional membership. The membership includes a lot of great benefits and resources, sometimes with additional fees. They have fantastic webinars, newsletters. They have a great listserv. I know sometimes we don't want to add more emails to our inbox, but occasionally those are great things. And there's topics that might be able to pop up and cue interest or see something that you hadn't thought about before. They also offer an annual conference, different workshops, and they too have a summer institute like OACAC. I'm sure we've got members of OACRO probably with us today and definitely on the Ohio Transfer Council. All right, next we're going to go into NACAC.
Yeah, and we're actually kind of going into a slightly different world because this is more focused on the academic advising side of the house, but working in the transfer world, they're kind of blend, right? Because you have transfer students asking questions about, will this class count for this? What about that? So, unfortunately, sometimes you can't just say I work in admission. You do have some of those advising kind of components to your role. So NACAC is kind of like the national version. It's like NACAC. It's the national level academic advising professional development organization. And the thing that they do really, really well is recommend best practices for advising. So if your institution has best practice models that they follow, things like advising caseload, holistic advising, and I mean, they do a million other things besides that, but they really do recommend a lot of really best practices that keep professional advising really supporting students at a very high professional level. So I've been a member of NACAC since my days as an academic advisor years ago, because even though I've moved into the admission side of universities and kind of moved around in different roles, I've always found the NACAC content for conferences or for the benefits for my membership still apply no matter kind of what world I'm working in, because it's all focused on student support and student success. So even though some of these things may be very specific to academic advising, they still can translate into some admission world, enrollment management world type approaches as well. So they actually have a wonderful conference. If it's a national conference they host once a year. It just happened actually here in Cincinnati back in October, but the next one's going to be in October of 22 in Portland, Oregon. They do have virtual options for attendees as well. And, who knows what it's going to be like next year, but if you do have the opportunity to travel, those are great conferences, lots of networking, lots of great collegiality happening there. The membership's $75, so it's really not the most expensive organization to join, and you do get a lot of great benefits out of it. And they also have a lot of great, kind of one-off professional development opportunities, like work groups and different things that you can join and be able to get benefits from attending. And then they also have a clearinghouse of academic advising resources. So even though you may not be in the advising world, I browsed through it preparing for this presentation, there is definitely stuff that us that work in the transfer world of enrollment can look at and gain from understanding those advising conversations and holistic advising as we're working with students transitioning from one school to another. So although you may not be an academic advisor, NACAC definitely still has some resources that will support you as you work with transfer students in the enrollment and admission areas.
Wonderful. We're going to transition really smoothly then into OHA, or the Ohio Academic Advising Association. So if you may be interested in academic advising but might want to start off at the state level, this may be a really great organization for you. And one thing that Ann said really sparked with me, even though you might not be an academic advisor, the information is really great and can help you. And a really great thing for you to have as a professional are ideas about other things that you can incorporate into your area that might not fit snugly into that box. It's really great to be able to know that information. And then also to kind of get out of your comfort zone a little bit, to know those different things, kind of like cross-training in other fields, so that you have that information and are ready for maybe some opportunities that might pop up for you. With OHA, they work to bring advisors together to share success stories, challenges, and best practices. Again, this is our state level organization. And then trends in the field of academic advising. This is a very affordable individual membership of just $20. They do typically have an annual conference. It's been virtual the last couple of times, but they usually do have an in-person conference. They also do a spring virtual conference each year. So they have two different events to help out their membership. They do a quarterly newsletter, and then they also have social events, and networking is an important part of their membership. So getting to know other advisors at other schools, what they're doing, what works for them and what doesn't, commiserating over things, and maybe just having a chance to talk with other people that are going through similar challenges or having successes that they'd like to share. So again, if you're interested in learning more about academic advising in an organization at the state level, OHA might be a good fit for you. All right, we're going to change gears just a little bit now. And we've talked about professional organizations where you join with a membership, but you don't necessarily have to join a professional organization to explore and grow yourself as a professional. There are some things that might not even be directly related to higher ed that can really help you build up your skills, your competencies, or just introduce you into something new that you didn't think would help impact your career and where you're going. So we're going to talk a little bit about a few of these different programs that you can participate in that don't require necessarily a membership. Some of these might have costs for certificates and things like that. So we're going to start off, I think I'll let Ann start with the MicroCredentials and Google Analytics, if that's okay, and a little bit about Coursera. Does that sound like a plan, Ann?
Yeah. And
Great.
I don't know about everybody else's institutions, but here at Miami University, we're actually developing quite a robust library of microcredential offerings. And they vary from anything from like, working with data entry type stuff all the way to like actual programming. So they can vary, but I know those micro credentials, like I have a master's degree and I'm not sure if I want to go on for a PhD right now, but how can I show my leadership? How can I still continue to advance my career and advance my education in areas where I need to bolster up and get some different exposure to different things maybe I'm not familiar with. So micro credentials are a great way to do that. And they're usually pretty low cost. Usually you can leverage that tuition reimbursement you have at your institution if you have some of these smaller micro credentials or certificates that you can work on, so you don't have to commit to doing an entire master's degree or PhD. And then they look great on your resume, and especially if you're everybody right now, we've all seen the news and the headlines about people changing jobs and no one can find people to work. Well, this is a time to reflect and see, okay, where am I at in my career and what would help me advance to the next level? And sometimes these little things like micro credentials can demonstrate that you are still advancing yourself and still trying to learn and grow as a professional. And then Google Analytics, man, I'll tell you what, that is something I think if you haven't done anything with that yet, it is a great thing if you want to go into leadership at a college, a university. These Google Analytics are just things that's just everyday conversation now when you're looking at website performance and how to attract students to campus. So that world of Google Analytics, if you have not gotten any exposure to that would look amazing on an application or on your resume. And these things can be very low cost. And in fact, actually, I was going to talk about Coursera next. Coursera is kind of just like it's almost like an a la carte menu of different professional development educational options. And they do have Google Analytics. And you can actually subscribe to Coursera for, I think, like $39 a month and kind of pick from the menu of options that they offer for you to take various different types of courses. I'm actually enrolled in Coursera right now. There's a leading diverse teams certification that I am taking, and I think it was like $40. It's very inexpensive, and luckily my leadership was willing to cover the cost of that. But even out of pocket, that's not a huge burden if you do want to kind of piece together some of these smaller professional development opportunities. And you do with a lot of these, you do earn those little badges that you get, and you can add to your LinkedIn profile and to other online sites where you can demonstrate to other professionals that you've done these certifications. So, and I will say for my University of Michigan certificate, it is challenging. It's not like kind of a breeze through, click here, multiple choice. It's deep dive into some of this content. So you're really earning these certificates, which demonstrate your knowledge. So I would highly recommend using Coursera. For me, the format has been very user-friendly, and I can go at my own pace. So I personally have done that, and I think that is going to be great when I complete some of these certificates and have those on my resume and on my LinkedIn profile.
Awesome. What a good point. And when thinking about analytics and then moving into talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion certificates, these can be things that can help you across any parts of higher education. We know that our universities as a whole really want to have data-driven goals and data-driven different programs and things that you're working on. So being able to dig into that data and being skilled in those areas are really valuable in higher ed. And of course, outside of your career, if you might go for a career change. Diversity, equity, and inclusion certificates, those are available at a lot of different institutions. If your institution might not offer one, there are plenty that you can discover, but one of those things that can really help you grow as a professional in your day-to-day, but also expand across different areas to really make you a valuable part of the team. Another thing that I want to kind of interject here too for the DE&I work is that your institution also might have a committee that needs volunteers when it comes to DEI work on your campus. Shawnee State has just formed one very recently. So if you see those emails that ask for volunteers or nominations, those are some things that might have some low impact on your day-to-day where you can really help participate and learn and show your involvement on campus in some of those diversity, equity, and inclusion things that are going on your campus. And then Anne knows more about NIST, so I'll talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, and I don't want to, kind of rehash everything, but leverage those organizations you're members of. If they have programming, for example, I think NISTS has a certificate in transfer leadership development that you can, and it's a fee. But that's another, like, if you don't want to go on for another master's degree, or you don't want to go on for a, whole, degree, and that's going to take a very, very long time. Some of these smaller certificates, and they are niche, like that one is transfer leadership development. It's very niche, but if that's your niche and you think that that would help you advance at your university, that would be something worth talking to your supervisor about and saying, hey, here's the curriculum for this. This really looks like an area of development, an opportunity for me. I'm interested in this. So NIST, OACAC, any of these organizations, if they offer these little kind of certificates that you can enroll in, again, that's something that is really going to build your resume and make you an attractive candidate for promotions and other jobs.
Excellent. And then the next couple ones I'd like to talk about, I think really help us as professionals stay in touch. And that's an important thing when you're looking at promotion or participating on a team or with leadership, or are you in touch with what's going on in the field? It's not always easy to read every news article or thing that might pop up, but some of these can really help you be in tune with that. One of them, especially for transfer students or for transfer workers, our Transfer Nation Facebook group. I'm sure some of you may have joined that already. There's tons of things that they produce for Transfer Week, really exciting things that they share, but it's a really great way to kind of visit with people all around the country that are doing transfer work and see some of the ideas and the problems and things that they're having, and really be in touch almost every day so that you can see that. Also, and I know I touched on this a little bit whenever I was speaking during Amber's time about OACAC and presenting, but volunteering and presenting with some of these different organizations, I almost felt like we were starting to repeat ourselves about the conferences that are available and the webinars and things like that. But all those conferences and all those webinars aren't done on their own. There are really valuable people that help put those on there. So event programming, volunteers are really important to those organizations. And then they also need presenters. So OTC, we're always looking for presenters to help us with our mission to deliver events and professional development. We also have different organizations that are looking for different presenters too. And that's a really great way to kind of start to scratch the surface. And it's a great way to also network when you're at those conferences and meet with other speakers that are there. So these are some really great ways to start if you don't want to dive right into joining an organization, but these are some great opportunities, especially for new folks. All right, well, we're going to move on here. I want to make sure and save a little bit of time for some open discussion. And we've got just a little bit more that we'd like to talk about. We're going to turn things over to Jessica for a few minutes and talk a little bit about how to, if we added up the price tag for all of our slides, it could get pretty high for an individual paying for that. And it can start to be impacting different budgets, especially for those of you that are teams or just one or two that have really small budgets for professional development. So we want to talk a little bit about how to justify that cost and, have Jessica share a little bit about that with us. Jessica?
Yeah, so how to justify membership and costs to attend these events. Your managers, directors, bosses, they are going to want to know possibly how there's a coherent alignment with the office, department, or maybe institutional goals. So when you're looking at these organizations, or maybe participating and engaging, maybe learn a little bit more about what this organization is about and how it can then contribute and towards your organization, their goals. So it's important to discuss your professional development early as well. So try to include that in your department's budget planning. So maybe whenever you're going on interviews, or maybe, there's that annual evaluation where you're sitting down, you can say, hey, I really want to participate in some of these events. And it's something that they can be more aware of and maybe plan so you can work more collaboratively so that way you can attend these in the future. And then also you could always use these to incorporate them into your salary negotiations or benefits as well. So whenever you're being hired, if you realize that, hey, I really want to go farther in my career, you can always bring these up when you're sitting down at that table. And I think there may be a little bit more that we want to add here. Anna.
Sure, absolutely. One thing that I definitely want to share is we didn't really use the word training very much. We really kept talking about professional development, but a lot of times with positions like these where you're replacing a person, you're a team of one or a really small group, when talking with your supervisor, there are trainings that are available within a lot of these different professional organizations. So that's a really great justification to make. Jessica made a great point when she talked about evaluation time or your one-on-one meeting time. Definitely share your goals with your supervisor as you can. They're going to hopefully do their best to work with you, especially if it's something that's going to give you some valuable training that you can contribute to the team. Getting involved, we know that sometimes that will take a little bit of time during the day. Right now, most of us are probably working on our lunch break, or you might have to work after hours to participate, but for the most part, showing maybe past conference events that have gone on, different meetings that have happened, those agendas, those are really valuable things to share with your supervisor too. So you can say, hey, they've been covering this information. I know we haven't been doing this work, or I really need some help figuring out this problem. I think this could be really valuable for me. Amber described some of the scholarship and grant opportunities available with OACAC, and many of the organizations have those. So if it's a strict no with your supervisor, then you might be able to explore those and apply for some of those scholarship opportunities. And then I know most of us don't want to have pay out of pocket if we can help it, but for some of them, taking the initiative, especially for those that might have the lower individual costs, it might be something to try out for a year and see. And then you can show your supervisor, hey, this is something I did on my own. It's really valuable information. I'd really like to incorporate that into a part of my job description or something that's an important part of the expectations for this position. And then one thing you can also do is ask your supervisor. I'm sure they're attending different conferences and different events. See if you can go with them, or if there's opportunities for you to go in place or to represent your office, but keeping that conversation open with them and making sure that you're talking about the different value that it can add and relating it close to your experience is a really great idea whenever you're talking with your supervisors. Jessica, thank you so much. And I'm not sure if there's anything that you wanted to add there.
Sorry, I had to unmute. The scholarships, I know I've worked for institutions where we had zero budget for that kind of stuff, and it was really challenging. So I was actually able to, back several years ago, attend NACAC because I was able to apply for their scholarship, which covered half the cost of my attendance. So then it was a lot easier for me to go to my supervisor and make that ask, for a $1,500 travel attendance and conference registration when someone else was covering the other half of that. So those things make a big difference. I got a flat no to start with, and then when I came back and reevaluated, I got a yes. So those scholarships, use them if you can. You do have to apply and things like that usually, but it got me to a conference and I had a great time and learned a lot, but I had to do the work to get that scholarship, but it worked.
And part of that work is research too. I know looking at the different websites, finding the applications for those grants and scholarship opportunities can be time consuming, but a lot of those options are definitely out there. All right, this kind of wraps up the formal portion of our presentation and delivering some information about the different organizations, some different kind of out of the box opportunities for professional development. But we definitely wanted to open up and allow our attendees today, again, thank you for joining us, to share questions that you might have for those of us that are talking, questions that you might have maybe about those specific organizations that we might be able to help with. Or if you are a seasoned pro, or maybe you're in a couple of years with an organization, or maybe you found a tip or something that has just been really valuable, we would really encourage and love for you to help share that too. So if you're welcome to unmute yourself at this time if you'd like to. Just as a reminder though, as we're going through our questions, you can find this recording. We will publish it later on, but you will be able to find this on our website for the Ohio Transfer Council next time. Just as a plug, if you're thinking about we're already in the organization, but if you'd like for volunteer opportunities and to get started with that, you're welcome to reach out to the Ohio Transfer Council too if you wanted to start with us, and we're happy to help make that happen too. So I'll actually stop sharing the presentation to just give us a little bit of room for those of us that want to share their video and participate. And then if you have questions, you're welcome to put those in the chat too, and we can kind of track through that and see what questions that might pop up. And then there's some valuable information we were posting in the chat too. Jessica, thanks so much for sharing some of those links, and Melissa as well. And if you don't have any questions, that's quite all right too. I know we did throw a lot of information at you too. Hopefully, like I said, working with Ann and Jessica to prepare for this webinar, let me learn a lot of different things that I did not even know were out there. So hopefully you were able to learn something today too, and you'll be able to revisit our slides later on if you want to check out some of those really great. And again, expanding your information and your knowledge into some different areas. Maybe you work really closely with advising, but you really want to learn a little bit about recruitment and how those processes can work together. When I first got involved with transfer work myself, I kind of dove headfirst into the Transfer Council and went really quickly onto a committee, and it has really helped me make a lot of really great connections on the Transfer Council. So I'm so grateful for that information, that experience so far. Hi, Holly. Thanks for joining. All right, guys, so if there's no questions, that's quite all right. Again, you can email us at the Ohio Transfer Council. I'm going to actually put my email address into the chat there too, so that way, if anybody has some questions and you're not really sure to get started, you're welcome to be able to do that. I think that sometimes it just takes another person to help you kind of figure out the way and set a little map for yourself. So if you just need a little bit of help, or if you're interested in the Professional Development and Events Committee, you're welcome to join Jessica and Ann and I. Ann's got her email address in there too. We're happy to help get you connected with some different opportunities, or to see if you'd like to help us out. Hi, Marcy. You know, we'll definitely have the recording. I'll work with our team on the web for OTC. I think it would probably be a really great idea for this presentation itself to be on the website. I don't think we'll have any problem doing that. So I imagine it will be hosted in our section of events and professional development on the OTC website. And then I think we'll also probably make arrangements maybe afterward to share it via email. I think we sometimes put that out as a thank you for participants. Oh, and then Amber's also got information in there too about joining OACAC. And then Marcy too, if you want to email me, I can email you the presentation directly too. If anybody would like to do that, feel free to email Jessica, Ann, or I. We can share that with you directly. All right, we did have a question about virtual portfolio, any information. You know, we didn't really touch on that very well. And that is a great question. I'm not sure if anybody has any additional information about a virtual portfolio. I get in a really bad habit of just saving stuff on my own as I'm going.
Yeah, I don't have any, I didn't think about virtual portfolios in the context of the PD conversation, but no, I'm going to make a note of that, because that is something that would be really cool to kind of talk about how you develop one and what's included in that. And yeah, well, we'll put that on the list, because I mean, and to be honest, you guys, we're always looking for, if there's a need in the community for professional development, that's kind of a trend that's happening. We'd love to know about it so we can, you know, educate our membership on it. So we'll talk about that for one of our upcoming events. I know we've kind of got a slated schedule already, but maybe there's a separate PD opportunity we could do for that.
Absolutely. I know not everybody wants to use LinkedIn or does use LinkedIn, but they want to be able to track their accomplishments too. All right, everyone. Oh, Amber, thank you for sharing that. Amber's just sharing that in the chat. If you're looking for opportunities, they're forming the conference committee for March and are looking for volunteers. So if you'd like to check that out, feel free. So that would be fantastic. All right, folks, well, I won't keep you any longer. Again, thank you so much from the Ohio Transfer Council and the Events and Professional Development Committee. We're very happy that you joined us for your lunch break on Friday today. Again, if you have additional questions, feel free to reach out to Ann, Jessica, or I, and we'll be happy to get back with you. And enjoy the rest of your day, everyone. Thank you so much for joining.